Hey everybody, it's Susan with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I thought for this week's Stampin' Chat I would create some cards from the card candy kits that I sent all of you at the beginning of the month, and your card creations have been coming in to share on the show and tell, so thank you. But I thought I would walk through some card ideas that I have been starting to put together and go ahead and create them for you as we go. So hopefully you'll enjoy this little sit-down visit, and let's just go ahead and get started. So I had sent you from the Painted Harvest Suite some of the Designer Series paper. I'd cut out some of the sunflower images and some pumpkin images, and yes, it did strain me to cut the Designer Series paper, but you know what? It was therapeutic. So cut up your paper. Go ahead, use it. Some of our paper this year is great for individual images. Which was the whole point, was to get you guys to think about using our papers in different ways, not just as backgrounds. So let me stick all this over here, and we will get started with some cards. Okay, so the first one, now I haven't put any of these actually together, I've just started laying them out. So for the first one, I've taken and I've trimmed out the sunflower a little bit closer to the edge. I've got one of our tags, and I used the triple banner punch to give it its corner, but you can always do that with paper snips. We've got some of the yellow ribbon I sent, and then this was one piece of DSP, but I've cut it off so that I have the other side to use, and I'm going to use them in tandem. So let's go ahead and put these down. So I'm going to put the DSP directly on the card front. This is all being built on Very Vanilla because that was the base neutral in the paper. Okay, and then we're going to put the brown overlapping on the bottom. I'm going to try to get those borders on the top and the bottom and sides approximately the same. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim the ribbon a little bit more to size. And I'm going to go ahead and put snail. Now you could use liquid glue as well, but I'm just going to put snail around on that seam and stick this down. So kind of like creating a buffer between those two edges. And then we just come in with our paper snips and trim the ribbon to size. Okay. Oop. Not up yet. Apparently my fingers don't want to work this morning. Okay, there. So here's our card front. Go ahead and do that crease with the bone folder now. So sometimes people find it easier to create the front before they fold it. Sometimes people need it folded first. So whichever works for you. Alright, so now I've got this little scrap. So I have this tag and the flower. So what I was thinking is that I was going to put the flower on down here, and I was going to have this kind of shoot up across this part of the card, kind of like that. And then I was debating whether to take this and add it as a little ribbon. So I'm going to put those together and cut my edges together. So I got nice clean edge there on my ribbon, and I think I'm going to go ahead and tuck that underneath. So here's a little trick I use. I use glue dots when I put these little ribbon tails on. So first I stick a glue dot in the center of my ribbon, pull that off, and I fold that over on itself. So it just makes it stick together. Then I take it again and I put a glue dot right there, and then that's going to stick to my card. And that's just going to trail underneath here. So far so good? Yep, so far so good. Okay, I'm going to snail this tag down, going up across my card. I'm not worried about this because we're going to cover it up with the embellishment, and this I'm going to go ahead and pop up on dimensionals. So we've got an embellishment right out of our paper. And I'm just going to put that on so we can see all the words and still see some of those. That ribbon, let's see, how am I going to make it fit? I had it on there. Let's stay within my card parameters. There. Alright. So there's one card. Okay? Now, let's move on to another one. This next one, I decided to use the pumpkin cut out. Okay, and I had another piece of designer series paper. Okay, and I've just cut that. Now this one, it starts out as 6 inches when I send it to you. So I've cut it down to 5 1/4. And then I just took off about 1.5 inches to create this bottom piece. So similar to what I did with the other one. So using 2 sides to make the card go together. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this to the card. This one's on the top. This one's on the bottom. Make sure I put the adhesive on the correct side. Okay, so now putting this down. Now this one, because it was already cut to 4 inches, I'm really marrying the edge together. I'm not overlapping it. So you have to be aware of how big your paper is when you start trimming it down. Alright, so there's that. Now I was just going to do this gather together and give thanks in the center and use the pumpkins kind of as my end posts. So I haven't decided if I'm going to use that green ribbon on there or not. I don't really think we need it, so yeah, I'm not going to use it. Okay, now I did have, completely forgot, I wanted to add a piece of orange, but I didn't, so much for that. Okay, see, things change on the fly. Alright, so now let's go ahead and put this down. Now this is where we need to be careful. If I put that there, to make sure I have room for my pumpkin, so that's going to fit. Alright, so let's go ahead and put some snail in the back of these. This time I'm going to snail the pumpkins down. So whichever you think is best for you. So this is kind of a, make sure we still have room for everything. Alright, so I've got it placed, so now I'm just going to set it down. This might be a neat one if you had, if you were going to copy the idea, if you have the liquid adhesive or fine tip glue, getting that all down, it might be fun to go ahead and paint these pumpkins in the liquid adhesive, and it would kind of make them look raised up. They would have to sit and dry for a while, but that would be a cool effect of the card and make those embellishments really pop on the card front. So, alright, that's 2. Now I decided to do one with acorns. Get a card base. I like this acorn paper. I don't know that I like it paired with what's on the back, but sometimes that's a good thing because it makes us choose between one or the other. So I like the acorn. And I just cut a piece of early espresso. So the early espresso is 5 1/4 by 4, which is our typical step in on the card. And then I just trimmed this one down. It started at 4. I just cut it down to 3 3/4. So it's just going to be in, and then it's the same length. So instead of having brown around the top and the bottom, I'm just making a long card like a channel. So let's go ahead and put this down. Oops, out of snail. Time to get a refill. Alright, so put this one down. So this goes centered on the brown, left to right. Okay, and then I think I'm going to end up popping that up on the card. So the next thing I'm going to do is put my I'm thankful on there. I'm going to snail that across. put a little more to the left. Now I'm just going to take my paper snips and trim off the paper to the same size as that brown. So you'll see I always flip it over because I find it's easier to cut to the edge. Kind of gives you a line to cut along. So that's a little trick I use. Okay, now we're going to put those on dimensionals. I know sometimes you tell me, oh, the challenge was really hard, I didn't know what to do with it. But I hope you know you can add any element you have in your stamp room. So if you know you have the stamp set and you want to stamp images, or if you only want to use a trace element that I send you and completely use different product, you know, it's all about being creative and creating a card to share. So, I mean, that's why I call my newsletter Show and Tell. You know, I want to make sure that you guys are enjoying the product that you purchase, and I do the card candy as my thank you for stamping with me and supporting me, but also so that you can play with something maybe you don't have, and pair it with something you do have. So, you know, don't be afraid to experiment. You know, it's kind of like a freebie. You can make a card, and if you don't like it, that's fine. The whole idea is to practice and to have some fun. So I had a piece of this paper left, and I cut out individual acorns. And I was trying to decide how I wanted to use them as an embellishment. I think I got 3 big ones and I've got 2 small ones. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me get some liquid glue. And I'm just going to tack them down there as an embellishment. So 3, so I'm just going to put 3 little dots on here to start. These are my bigger ones. And I just fussy cut these out of the paper, so they're not exact. Actually, you'll notice the one in the middle is actually missing the bottom of it because it was on the edge of where I had cut. That's okay. Just making a fun little add-on embellishment with the materials we already had. Now I'm just going to put 2 more tiny dots here. Put those on, letting the edges overlap a little bit. There we go. So a little pile of acorns there. I like that. Okay, so there's a 3rd card. Alright, and then one more I'm going to do with the pumpkins. Now, this one, so this one I've got the I'm So Thankful. We had another piece of that same acorn paper, but this time I'm going to highlight the yellow and just use this bottom as a trim. But this one I decided I wanted to pull everything in. These were all very big, open images, right? They kind of explode on the card. I decided I wanted to make one that kind of brought the image in a little bit smaller. So I've cut another piece of Very Vanilla, and this is at 5. So there's a 1/4 inch by 3 3/4, so this is 1/4 inch all around. And then I cut this one down to 3 1/2, so that's going to step in on the vanilla. And I'm going to use this on the bottom as a little detail. And then we're going to put the words on over the middle. And then, yep, I have a piece of pumpkins here that we're going to use to highlight some fall imagery. So let's go ahead and start putting these together. So let's start with the yellow side. I'm going to step this onto the added in Very Vanilla. Okay, and now I'm going to add the acorns. Just like that. And the I'm Very Thankful. So again, I can go left to right, up and down. I think I'm going to go, well, I guess I'm going to go a little more in the middle this time. So, we center that. See, I want more acorns to show, so put that up a little higher. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing and trim off the extended length. So this would be where you could put, you know, banner ends on them or curve them with your punches, but I'm just going to trim them off. Alright, now I'm going to fold this, give it a good crease with my bone folder. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. Okay, so this is going to get centered on the top of the card. And by popping it up on dimensionals, it really makes it look stuffed in from the edges. Okay, and then I've got these pumpkins to add. So I thought I was going to put them there, but now I think I'm going to put them over here. I think I want to put them there. So, and I'm also going to pop those up on dimensionals. I'm going to give that 2 for stability. Put those here. And they can kind of hang off that edge, make it all active edge going on. So there's my 4th one. So here are the 4 I just did this morning with you. So I hope that kind of gave you a feel for taking the elements I send you in any given month and make them into some fun creations that you will then share with us on the show and tell. That's the best part, is seeing what you guys come up with. So very different cards, really the same elements that came from the same product, and you all got different kits, so you all got to make a little bit different imagery. So I hope you enjoyed it, ladies, and be watching for next month for the next kit to come out for December. And I hope you play along with us and share your creations. And again, I greatly appreciate you guys stamping with me and sharing with me and ordering from me. It keeps me busy and motivated, and I really get to do what I love to do, which is create with stamps. So again, thanks ladies, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.